What's going on, Saviors? GH here. In this video, I'm gonna be showing you guys the best engraving you can use in Lost Ark. And with that said, let's not waste any more time. Let's do this. First engraving I recommend is Cursed Doll. At level 3, it gives you plus 16% attack power but takes 25% away from your healing. That means your potions wouldn't heal as much. And to demonstrate the damage increase of Cursed Doll, I'm only gonna be using a weapon, no armors, no stats, no other engravings. And as you see, this skill at base is doing around 21k. And adding Cursed Doll increased the damage to around 25.4k damage. So it's a significant increase in damage. Next best engraving in Lost Ark is Grudge. At level 3, it gives you 20% more damage on bosses. But you will also receive 20% more damage. Grudge, in terms of damage, is the best you can have. But you gotta consider the fact that you will also receive 20% more damage, which, if you're a new player, will get you closer to dying or at least being less aggressive, which will result in lower damage or none. So if you're a new player, avoid Grudge for the meantime. But when the time comes that you know what you're doing, then that's the time you get Grudge. And to demonstrate the damage increase of Grudge, I'm only gonna be using a weapon, no armors, no stats, no other engravings. And as I demonstrated earlier, this skill deals around 21k base damage. And adding Grudge to the mix increased the damage to around 26.4k. Grudge is best used on the hardest raid bosses because usually death in those content comes because you failed in a raid mechanic, not because Valtan slapped you 3 times in a row. Next engraving I recommend is Keen Blunt Weapon. At level 3, it gives you 50% more critical damage, but your attack have a chance to deal 20% less damage. Now, I know you're gonna ask, what's the percentage of the chance to deal 20% less damage? Based on my testing, it's around 10%. It's pretty low that it hardly happens. If you're a critical build, then Keen Blunt Weapon is your S tier engraving. Because essentially, if you get majority crits, the damage increases around 50% of your base non-crit skill damage. The last engraving that I personally recommend is Adrenaline. At level 3, every time you attack with a skill, you get 1 stack. And each stack adds 1% attack power and it goes up to 6 stacks. So 6% attack power. And at maximum stacks, if you can maintain it, you get 15% more crit rate. It's straight up 15%, not 15% of your crit rate. Straight up 15%. So even if you have 0 crit rate, you still get 15% base crit rate if you can maintain 6 stacks of Adrenaline, which is very easy to do. Oh, yeah, I forgot. How about let me add Awakening. It basically cuts down the cooldown of your Awakening skill by 50% at level 3. If your Awakening skill is very good, like for example, a Paladin's Awakening, which deals damage and shields your whole party, which is pretty good. And aside that, it also fills up your specialty meter, allowing you to heal teammates. And if you can cast your Paladin's Awakening much more frequently because of Awakening, then you can also heal your teammates more often. But keep in mind that Awakening is not good for all classes because some classes got crap for an Awakening. And those are the top engravings in Lost Ark. If that's the only thing you're here for, then go ahead, it's done. The next part of the video is for the alternatives for newer and learning players. First engraving that comes into mind is Heavy Armor. If you're a new player and you get hit a lot and you don't know what you're doing, your S tier engraving is Heavy Armor because it will keep you alive, and if you're alive, it's better than dead. And if you haven't noticed, most classes got a debuff of some form that increases the damage of the whole party. It could be either reduced defense of the boss, reduced critical resistance, or damage increase debuff. So yeah, it's better you're alive than dead and complaining. Now, heed my advice though. If you start to get good, remove your Heavy Armor and replace it with a DPS engraving like Cursed Doll because damage is king in this game. More damage means you get to skip more raid mechanics, which will make things easier. Next engraving that you can use, but it kinda depends on the situation, is Raid Captain. At level 3, your outgoing damage is increased by 45% of your movement speed bonus. This one over here. And you can only increase your movement speed bonus with swiftness. So if you have a lot of swiftness, then Raid Captain will start to be enticing. Let's say you have 40% bonus move speed, which is the cap according to this. 45% of 40% is 18% more outgoing damage. To keep it simple, if you have a lot of swiftness, then Raid Captain will be nice. And there's no drawback, but you gotta have a lot of swiftness, which is one of the top tier combat stats in the game. And that's it for now. There are more engravings, but those are more class and build specific engravings. And just ask if you have any more questions. This is Gamey Hardcore. See you in the next one.